Here we are, guys, in part 13 of this story. In the land of waves, our favorite blonde encounters the Kyuubi. Watch the subsequent events unfold as Naruto uses the power that was sealed inside of him on the day of his birth. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Now, let's begin. The day was October 10th. It was the day of the anniversary of the day when the Yondaime sacrificed himself to save the village from the wrath of the Kyuubi. On this day, the entire village celebrated the Kyuubi's destruction and the service that the Yondaime gave to this village. It was a joyous day, filled with cheers, festivities, and fun. However, for one person in the village hidden in the leaves, October 10th was the worst day out of the year. This person was Naruto Uzumaki. Today was Naruto's birthday, the day he would turn 12. Today should be a happy day for him. Today should be a day of celebration. However, for the past 6 years, since the first time he actually participated in the festivities of the day of October 10th was a day of fear and hiding. Now, the villagers had never been fond of Naruto, in fact they hated him. However, he could usually tolerate this as they normally just looked down on him with scorn and hatred. Usually, these were just looks and he would not be in any sort of danger. This day was different. He had first attended the festivities of the day when he was 6. For the week, he was in the ICU wing of the hospital. The next 5 years were not too much better. While he had not been admitted to the hospital, the villagers would pick this day in particular to hunt him down and try to kill him before the Anbu could arrive to save him. He never understood why. Why did they hate him so much? Why did they want to kill him? Why did they always refer to him as that demon brat? It wasn't until recently that he found out why. The Yondaime never killed the Kyuubi and in fact sealed the Kyuubi inside Naruto. Naruto knew the Kyuubi never meant to harm the village. But the villagers didn't know that and they would probably never understand. Naruto had gotten up early in the morning and was preparing himself for the upcoming day. He had to get out of his apartment quick and go find some place on the outskirts of the village so that the villagers wouldn't find him and he would be able to perhaps get in some training. This was the only thing about today that Naruto was looking forward to, an entire day of training with no one to bother him, hopefully. However, there was one more thing that he found himself enjoying about this day in particular. It was on this day, about 4 years ago, that he found out that there is actually someone in the village that cares enough for him. 4 years ago, he found a wrapped gift card to his favorite place, Ichiraku, tucked underneath his door. At first, he thought it was the village playing a joke on him, getting his hopes up by giving him an empty gift card. However, he soon realized that card had enough on it for practically a month's worth of ramen. He was ecstatic. The next year, another present was left by his door. This time, it was Gama-chan, the frog wallet that he had looked at in the store for days on end. It was wrapped the same way as the gift card was, hinting that it was from the same person. The following year, wrapped the same way, was a box containing his signature orange jacket. Again, this had been something that he had wanted for weeks before his birthday, but he had never been able to afford it. He asked the old man, the third Hokage, who was one of the very few who actually cared for Naruto, if he had gotten him the jacket. The Sandaime indicated that it wasn't him. This only made Naruto happier, knowing that there was actually someone else in the village who cared. Last year was just as good. He got the pair of goggles that he had desperately wanted, which were again too expensive for him. While he no longer wore the goggles, replaced by his Konoha headband, he had a special place for them on his shelf. His only regret is that he didn't know who it was that had given him these presents so that he could thank them properly. Naruto was just about ready to head out when he heard a knock on his door. He was cautious as a knock on his door today was usually preceded by a loud crash of the door being smashed in and an angry mob chasing after him. However, a familiar voice that he trusted followed the knock. "Naruto, are you in there?" Naruto opened the door to reveal Kakashi-sensei. "Kakashi-sensei, what are you doing here?" asked Naruto. "Just thought I'd stop by and wish you a happy birthday. And to give you these." Kakashi handed Naruto a pack of 20 coupons for a free bowl of Ichiraku. "I'm sorry to say that I wasn't really sure what else to give you." Naruto smiled at his sensei's present. "Thank you, Kakashi-sensei," said Naruto. However, these were not wrapped like the presents from the past years and Kakashi's laziness preceded him as the coupons had been slightly crumpled in his back pouch, while they were still a present and they were still valid. He could tell that Kakashi was not the person that had been giving him gifts all these years. Before leaving, Kakashi informed Naruto that Iruka wanted to meet up with him later for dinner. Iruka-sensei was one of the other few in the village who Naruto could truly trust on this day. Naruto took off for training ground 40, located on the outskirts of Konoha, and off-limits to civilians. It was here that he was hoping to get some time by himself, at least until Iruka wanted to meet up with him. Iruka had told Kakashi to pass on to Naruto to meet him inside the Hokage Tower at around 8 and he would bring a Jiraku takeout. This was fine for Naruto as the Hokage Tower was actually one of the most secure buildings in the village and the shinobi population wasn't the ones behind the numerous lynch mobs that he had to evade every year on this day. Before leaving, Naruto transformed, learning long ago that it wasn't safe for him to look like Naruto while traveling through the village today. For some reason, he transformed himself into Sasuke and took off. He was doing fine. No angry mobs, no distractions, and he was almost out of the actual village portion of Konoha. Once he reached the training grounds, it would be smooth sailing. However, he hit a bump when Sakura spotted him and took off after him, thinking that he was actually Sasuke. Naruto was trying to lose her, not wanting any unwanted attention for today, even if it was from Sakura and passed through. It was unfortunate that his path took him through Training Ground 9, where the real Sasuke was training. Also, Naruto wasn't watching where he was going and crashed into Sasuke. Sakura just stood there, looking at the pile of Sasukes. One of them dispersed, revealing it to be Naruto, and Sakura suddenly became enraged that Naruto had transformed into Sasuke. She thought it to be some trick of his to get her to go out on a date with him. "Naruto!" growled Sakura, cracking her knuckles. Sasuke wasn't pleased either that Naruto had transformed into him, again. Naruto let out a slight gulp. "Sakura, please, you don't understand," said Naruto. "Oh yeah, you were trying to use Sasuke's appearance to get me to go on a date with you," she said. "No, that's not it. And please, keep it down," begged Naruto. "Oh yeah? And why should I?" asked Sakura, growing increasingly irritated. "You've done this before, remember the first day as a team?" "Yeah, I knew it was you." "No wait, please Sakura," said Naruto, slowly backing away. "Sakura, just hold on a moment. Something doesn't seem right," said Sasuke, stopping his pink-haired teammate. "Huh? What do you mean, Sasuke? Aren't you angry that he transformed into you again?" asked Sakura. "Well yeah, but something is different about Naruto today. He seems completely on edge, like he's worried about something," explained Sasuke. "At least give him the chance to explain himself." Fine. Alright, out with it," Naruto demanded Sakura. Naruto took a deep breath and let out a slight sigh of relief. "You know what today is, don't you?" asked Naruto. "It's the day where the entire village celebrates the Yondame's defeat over the Kyuubi. However, because of my, condition, many of the villagers choose today to hunt me down and try to kill me." The faces of Naruto's teammates froze with horror. Naruto explained the first time he went to the festival that was held in the evening and how he ended up in the ICU for weeks. "I was taking Sasuke's appearance so I could get to the training grounds on the outskirts of the village and away from the villagers for today," explained Naruto. Sakura regretted getting mad at him and Sasuke just nodded, letting Naruto be on his way towards the training ground he was planning on staking out for the day. "So Sasuke, since we're here, together, do you want to go to the festival later tonight?" Sakura asked, trying to get Sasuke to go out on a date with her by going to the annual festival that was scheduled for later that evening. "Don't you have anything better you could be doing? Like training?" said Sasuke, deflating Sakura. He took off himself to go meet up with Kakashi. Kakashi had arranged to train him today to control the cat Sasuke could summon, as he couldn't be summoning that demon every time he wanted to summon a cat. After all, even the Jonin senseis never enjoyed being stuck with the infamous Capture Tora mission. "Today's the day. Today's the day I finally let Naruto know there is someone in this village that cares for him," thought Hinata as she traveled through the village carrying the necessary ingredients she needed for Naruto's very first birthday cake. She made her way to the compound where Hanabi was impatiently waiting for her. This was her opportunity for some free cake batter, and no self-respecting 6-year-old was going to pass this up. Hinata began the preparations for making the cake. The first thing that needed to be done was the pan design. She had gotten a special kit a few years ago that allowed her to create custom pan shapes, and she went ahead assembling it. The cake itself wasn't that large as she planned on making a double-layered cake, and the kit only had so many pieces. At least from her experience, the perfect amount of layers on a cake was 2. Not enough and the cake wasn't as filling, while too many and there was an increased chance of the cake falling apart. The second step to making the cake was deciding the shape of the cake. This is where her obsession with the blonde boy took over, and she began assembling her pan kit in the shape of Naruto's head. The bottom half of the pan was round with the top half having spikes coming from it, resembling his hair. The third thing to decide was the type of cake to be made. She opted to go with a more traditional white cake as she still wasn't sure on Naruto's preferences, despite following him all these years. The fourth thing that needed to be decided was the type of icing to use. To her, it had to be a buttercream type as it was simply the best and nothing compared to it. The last and final touches on the cake were the most important. This was the decorations on the cake. It couldn't be too plain, nor could it be too much over the top. The look of the cake was just as important as the taste. The two factors had to balance with one another perfectly or the entire cake itself was ruined. After all her planning was done, Hinata, with the help of her younger sister, took to beginning the cake. Directly after the ingredients were mixed together, Hinata was called into the other room by her father. The bowl of delicious cake batter was way too much for Hanabi to resist, and without anyone to stop her, she quickly went to work. Naruto was jumping through the trees. He was only a few more hops away from his desired training location. He let out a sigh of relief as he discovered that no one was there when he had arrived. The first hour of his personal training session was nothing more than a series of warm-ups and katas that he was performing with a clone. In a few past meetings, Kakashi-sensei had suggested that Naruto should try to refine his daijutsu as it was still rather sloppy, despite daijutsu being one of his better subjects in the academy. He had been given a book on basic daijutsu practices from Kakashi and he figured it wouldn't hurt for him to go through it. Afterwards, he proceeded to a bit of weapons training and this was what he was looking forward to. Jiraiya had mentioned that the wind jutsu he had learned, the futon, gale palm, worked well in conjunction with projectiles, helping to propel them forward at an increased velocity. This took up about 2 more hours of his training as he worked on getting the jutsu off quick enough to be of use in increasing the speed of projectiles. It was going to be difficult for him to throw the shuriken himself and cast the jutsu before the kunai and shuriken made contact. However, he was quickly finding that if a clone was the one doing the jutsu, he could manage to make the jutsu effective. Next step would be to add that in with his shuriken shadow clone jutsu, however, that would have to wait as he heard someone jump down behind him. Naruto feared that someone had found him, in particular someone who was a part of Konoha's annual demon hunt. Somewhere in the village, a crowd of roughly 100 villagers had assembled, knives, swords, pitchforks, and anything sharp at hand. This was the year that they finished what the Ondaime Hokage had begun 12 years ago. This was the year they were finally going to rid the village of the demon brat. Unfortunately for the patrons wielding pitchforks and larger weapons, they were forced to trade them in for much smaller knives as they couldn't go marching around with pitchforks and torches waving through the air. That would draw too much attention to the Anbu, even if they would have received the support of most of the civilian population. Besides, pitchforks were outdated, belonging in the era of the old black and white monster movies. It was nearly time. The group of villagers participating in this year's demon hunt would break up into teams of 4 and scour the village for him. One found, the remaining teams would be notified and they would swarm the location, finally putting an end to the menace that had plagued their village for the past 12 years. There was only one thing left to do. All the villagers gather 1,000 ryo each and put it into a pot. The one who delivered the finishing blow to the demon child would receive the 100,000 ryo that was gathered by the group. Of course, the purse was nearing 1,000,000 ryo as the pots from the previous years carried over. Yo! Ga! Pervy Sage, shouted Naruto, realizing who it was who had jumped down behind him. Don't scare me like that. Oh, sorry. I guess this day in particular must have you on edge, said Jiraiya. Naruto decided now would be a good time to take a break as Jiraiya began to unpack some food from his pack. The two sat down underneath a tree and enjoyed their lunch together. Shortly after, Jiraiya reached into his pack and pulled out 3 wrapped objects, handing them to Naruto. Huh? What are these? Asked Naruto. Just a little something to say happy birthday. Even you deserve that much, said Jiraiya. Besides Jiraiya, the old man, his mysterious admirer, Iruka-sensei, and Kakashi-sensei had so far been the only ones to acknowledge his birthday. Naruto didn't know what to expect. As he sat there staring at the wrapped presents, almost like he was analyzing them. Huh? What's the matter, Naruto? It's just nothing, said Naruto. Jiraiya could tell that he probably wasn't used to getting presents. In reality, Naruto was examining the packages. They weren't wrapped that well and Jiraiya apologized, never being that good at wrapping gifts. That meant Jiraiya wasn't the unknown gift giver. Regardless, Naruto thanked his pervy teacher and began opening the presents. The first one turned out to be a jutsu scroll, and Jiraiya told him that he should begin working on that jutsu next in his wind nature training. Opening the scroll, it read Futon, Whirlwind Fist. After further examining the technique, he discovered that this was a high C rank technique that encased his fists in a swirling wind, blasting the opponent back upon impact. The second present was a pair of kunai. However, these weren't ordinary kunai. Naruto stared in awe as he saw that these kunai were three-pronged. He had never seen anything like these, and they felt different from ordinary kunai. They were more dense and sharper. Jiraiya told Naruto to channel some of his wind nature chakra into the kunai. Naruto did as Jiraiya said, and he saw a bluish-white chakra blade extend from the blade of the knife. "Pervy Sage? What are these?" asked Naruto, both curious and amazed. "Those are special kunai composed of a metal that channels chakra easy. They also take on the property of the chakra channeled through them," explained Jiraiya as he picked up the other knife and channeled some of his fire chakra into the knife. The knife began to glow a deep red and even whitish color. Being the curious kid he was, Naruto actually proceeded to touch Jiraiya's blade only to burn himself. Jiraiya laughed at Naruto trying to cool off his hand. "With your wind chakra in particular, an extended and sharpened blade is created. Why don't you see and cut through that tree with one of those?" Jiraiya pointed to a tree, a little over a foot in diameter, and Naruto stared in disbelief. How could a simple knife cut through a tree in a single blow? Naruto proceeded to the tree and focused some wind chakra into his blade, aimed for the tree and swung. A small cut was made in the tree, but it looked as if nothing else had happened. "See, you can't cut through a tree with just a knife, no matter how cool it looks." Naruto spoke too soon as he was forced to avoid a tree that was falling directly where he was standing, giving both Jiraiya and Nakubi a laugh. After some more admiring of those knives, Jiraiya explained to be careful with those. They weren't ordinary kunai and were expensive. They weren't meant to be disposable like ordinary kunai. Naruto proceeded to the final package. It was rectangular in shape and about the size of a book. Thoughts on what it was were going through Naruto's head, and he was hoping it wasn't what he was thinking. Jiraiya got a devious smile on his face. Naruto carefully opened the package. It was what he had feared as he read the title, Icha Icha Paradise. Naruto nearly faulted as the fox burst out in laughter. "What the hell is this, you old pervert? I'm not into this kind of stuff. I've already had the unfortunate pleasure of seeing Kakashi read this sturdy book, and if you think you're going to turn E into a pervert, you're mistaking," shouted Naruto, completely forgetting that he was there so no one would find him. Jiraiya couldn't stop laughing and let the joke go on for a while before removing the dirt cover on the book. The book enclosed by the cover was entitled The Tale of a Gutsy Ninja. "Huh, what's this?" "That is my first book, and don't worry, this isn't an adult novel. I wrote this before I became an author of the Icha Icha series, but to be honest it didn't sell too well. However, I actually feel you might like this. Besides, there is something about this book that might interest you." Naruto was intrigued and took a look at the first page, and much to his surprise there was something about this book that interested him. The main character's name was Naruto. "Perv Sage, thank you," was all Naruto could get out. "No need to worry. It is your birthday after all," said Jiraiya. "Now, Tsunade said she had something for you as well, but she's going to be busy all day with paperwork, so I wouldn't stop by until later." "Okay. I'll stop by after I get ramen with Iruka-sensei then," said Naruto. Jiraiya stayed with Naruto and supervised his training for a few hours. In reality, he was busy writing something about getting the next Icha Icha to the publisher in the next month. Throughout the rest of the afternoon, there were a few thoughts going through his head. Pervy Sage, Kakashi-sensei, Iruka-sensei, and Tsunade all cared about his birthday, not to mention the Ichirakus who had designed a special bowl of ramen just for him on this day. Would anyone else? His team? The other members of the Rookie Nine? Hinata? That last name concerned him the most. Out of anyone he could think of, her name had the biggest impact on him. Would she care? Later that evening, Naruto snuck back into the village to the Ichirakus. Iruka had failed at getting a secure room inside the Hokage tower, but Tuchi and Ayame had agreed to let them meet in private inside the house portion of their shop. Naruto transformed himself, this time into someone who wouldn't get every fangirl's attention. He transformed himself this time into Shizune, after all, who would attack the Hokage's assistant. The trip to Ichiraku's was smooth and he got there without drawing any attention. After letting Tuchi know who it was, he was led inside where Iruka had just arrived a few minutes before. Iruka, however, had a friend with him. Fortunately for Naruto, this was one friend that was just that, a friend. "Hey Konohamaru, what you doing here?" asked Naruto. "Iruka-sensei told me it was your birthday and I asked him if I could come wish you a happy birthday," replied Konohamaru. "Besides, it beats walking around the village being called the honorable grandson by everyone in the village. I'd rather be called that than the demon brat," thought Naruto. Naruto hadn't seen Iruka-sensei or Konohamaru in a while, so there was lots to talk about, including his little adventure to bring Tsunade back and the new stuff he learned. Iruka was impressed that Naruto had already begun training with the wind element, making Konohamaru's desire to learn cool jutsu such as that even greater. Iruka was going to have a handful with this next generation Naruto, as some had dubbed Konohamaru. Konohamaru had picked up Naruto's mantle of prank master after Naruto had left the academy. Of course, Konohamaru's pranks were nothing compared to Naruto, but he was still young. After a while, Tucci and Ayame closed shop and joined them, not that they didn't see enough of Naruto already. It was getting late and Naruto figured he had better go see Tsunade Bakken before it got too late. Before he could reach the door, Iruka caught him and placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder. "Naruto, I have a bad feeling." "I'm coming too, but we need to get to the tower quick," said Iruka. Naruto nodded, knowing what Iruka was hinting towards. Konohamaru on the other hand, didn't have a clue. Iruka told him to trust in his sensei and Naruto transformed into Shizune as the two exited the Ichirakus. Camped outside the Ichirakus was a group of this year's demon hunt. They had seen Shizune enter the ramen maker's home and that would have been alright, if it hadn't been for the real Shizune passing by them just a few minutes past. These villagers knew this was one of Naruto's favorite spots in the village and figured he would show up here eventually. With Shizune entering the house in the back and the real Shizune passing them a few moments later without any sign of the Shizune inside the house leaving, they deduced that the Shizune inside the house was in fact the demon brat. Seeing this, they notified the rest of the lynch mob and positions were taken up surrounding the house. Suddenly, what they had been waiting for came walking out of the door. Despite standing next to Iruka, there was Shizune, or the demon brat. The villager picked up a rather large stone and tossed it towards Naruto, hitting the transformed ninja in the face and dispelling the transformation. "Ow! What was that, foe?" Naruto trailed off as he opened his eyes to see about 24 villagers in front of him, killing intent spilling out from the very core of their souls and blades in hand. "Shit!" swore Naruto. "Kid, run!" advised Kurama. He couldn't fight the villagers as hurting them would only make them see him as more of a demon. No, he had to get to the tower. He would be safe with Tsunade Bakken, and hopefully Jiraiya was there as well. One of the villagers couldn't take it anymore and jumped at Naruto, only to be smashed in the face by a large frying pan. "What the hell are you doing?" screamed Tucci, coming to Naruto's rescue. "This is the kid that kept you safe. You're going to go against the will of the Yondaime?" "No, I'm here to finish what the Yondaime started. This village has been plagued by this monster long enough," shouted one of the villagers, who had clearly lost it. "Naruto, go with Iruka and get to the tower. I'll hold them off as long as I can," said Tucci. "Tucci." Naruto trailed off. "Go," shouted Tucci as the crowd rushed him. Naruto and Iruka make their way towards the tower, pretty much running for dear life. "Please be alright," Tucci thought Naruto as he and Iruka raced along rooftops and through alleyway. At every turn, they encountered a few more villagers, intending to corner and end Naruto. Both Iruka and Naruto knew they wouldn't get there before the mobs closed them in. Iruka did what he had to in order to ensure the boy he had begun to look at as a brother made it to the Hokage safely. "Iruka-sensei! What are you doing?" shouted Naruto as Iruka charged forward, creating an opening in the dozen or so villagers that were forming a wall in front of them. "Just go. I'll catch up," shouted Iruka. Naruto hesitated a little at first but knew that Iruka was only doing this for him. Naruto took off towards the tower, sprinting at full speed. As such, he didn't notice the final lines of defense the mobs had set. Before he knew it, one of the mob's traps had tripped him, sending him from the rooftops into an alleyway full of trash. Naruto recovered as quickly as he could, but it was too late. A crowd of at least 36 villagers had gathered around him, trapping him in the alley. One of the villagers stepped forward. "A fitting place for a worthless piece of trash like you to die, demon." It was late at night and the festivities had already begun for this year's annual festival, celebrating the sacrifices the Yondaime Hokage made to keep this village safe, 12 years ago. Walking through the crowds was an 11-year-old Hyuga, looking for a particular blonde that had not been seen all day. She had just finished up the present that she had been working all morning. She would have had it finished sooner, but she hit an unexpected speed bump by the name of Hanabi. Flashback. Hanabi, shouted Hinata, or at least as loud as was possible for Hinata. Hanabi looked up from the large batter bowl that her face had been buried in. The evidence of her crime could be seen all over her face. To be completely honest, if it hadn't been for the Hokage eyes she possessed, Hanabi could have been mistaken for an Akamiki at that point in time. "What's wrong, Nae-san?" asked the younger Hokage, trying to act all innocent. Did you eat all of the cake batter?" asked Hinata, staring at the empty bowl. No, there's still a little batter in there," responded Hanabi, pointing to the small drops of batter on the side of a bowl. Hinata picked up the bowl and was almost ready to cry as her work had been wasted just like that. Hiyashi entered the kitchen to see what the fuss was about after hearing Hinata shriek. It didn't take a genius to see what had happened as Hinata was on her knees on the verge of crying, holding an empty bowl, with Hanabi sitting on the counter with batter all over her face and a satisfied smile on her face. "Hanabi, it's time for training," called out Hiyashi. He was well aware of what Hinata was doing and figured this would give her a second chance at making Naruto's cake. This time without Hanabi interfering. Besides, this was his punishment towards Hanabi for not being more considerate. "Have you ever tried training on a belly full of raw cake batter?" Hanabi tried to argue, but it was no use against her father. Before leaving the room, Hiyashi turned and gave his older daughter a smile, receiving one back from Hinata. She quickly went back to work, starting over making the cake. By early afternoon, the cake was baking in the oven and she was able to start the decorating only 2 hours later. End flashback. Hinata was walking through town with the cake in a box that she had on her back. She had asked the bake shop just down the street from the Hokage compound that she normally visited, and they were glad to loan out one of their delivery boxes to their best customer. Initially, she was calm and happy, getting to see Naruto for the first time in days. However, as time passed, she realized that she was going to be seeing Naruto. Quickly, the shy and nervous Hinata began to return as she became hesitant about actually going through. Perhaps she should wait for next year to tell him that she was his mysterious admirer. Those doubts were quickly shot down when she saw the exact person she was thinking of dart past her. However, this wasn't a casual run. This wasn't even how Naruto would run after he pranked the entire Anbu HQ. No, this time, Naruto was running for dear life as a crowd of around 20 villagers followed in pursuit, wielding knives and screaming for the demon brat to die. Sadly, she knew what was going on. Every year, the lynch mob came by the Hokage compound asking for the Hokage's help in tracking down Naruto. Each year, the Hokages declined. Thankfully, having the Byakugan at their disposal would have done wonders for the mob. "No, they found him this year," she said quietly to herself. She had felt relieved when every year she heard the disappointment from the mob, not even getting a sighting on him, but it appears as if this year they had managed to track him down and there was simply one thing on their mind: blood. Hinata took to the rooftops in pursuit of her crush, hoping there was something she would be able to do to help him. Looking on, Naruto was gaining ground as he made his way towards the Hokage tower. "Go Naruto, you'll be safe there," she thought to herself. However, her Byakugan saw it. The villagers had set up a line of defenses between Naruto and the tower, and unfortunately, he got caught up in one of their traps, tumbling to the ground and crashing headfirst into a dumpster. "Naruto," she shouted. If anyone was around, they would be shocked that the shy little Hokage could actually scream that loud. Hinata bolted off towards where Naruto was, hoping it wasn't too late. Naruto was racing towards the tower. Everything seemed to be going fine, that is until he ran into one of the mob's tripwires they had set up. This sent him tumbling into the alley below and into a pile of trash. Picking himself out of the trash, Naruto looked up to see what he had not been hoping to see. Naruto was surrounded by approximately 40 to 50 members of the lynch mob, with the rest of the villagers just watching. The remaining members of the mob were beginning to make their way to the location where he had been trapped. "What a fitting place for the demon that has plagued our village for so long to meet his end," said one of the villagers as he stepped forward. A few more joined Naruto until about 6 of them were charging for Naruto, knives at the ready, and the death of Demon Brat being the only thing on their mind. "Shit," was all Naruto could say. "Damn kid. I didn't want it to come to this, but, huh?" said Kurama as he sensed another presence enter the fray. He was just about ready to pump Naruto full of his chakra, hoping that would be enough to fend off the attackers. That was the last thing that he wanted to do, as it would have only given the mob more reason to believe that he actually was the QB. Protection of the 8 trigrams. The attackers were forced back into the crowd, the wind chakra digging deep into them, causing some severe cuts on their arms and torsos. Naruto opened his eyes, wondering why he hadn't been stabbed yet. To his surprise, There was someone standing between him and the attackers, taking a defensive position. Hinata had come to his rescue. Hinata? Said a surprised Naruto. What are you doing here? I came to save you, she said, all nervousness gone from her voice as her determination to protect the person most precious to her overtook her. A few of the mob stepped forward, growling in anger that they had hit a wall in their attempt to kill Naruto. Go away, Hokage, you had your chance to join us. Now that we found this thing, we don't need those eyes of yours, said one of the villagers. I'm not here to help you. I'm here to protect the one that's most precious to me, declared Hinata. A few of the villagers paused for a moment, then burst into a fit of laughter. Isn't that sweet? The Hokage princess has fallen in love with a demon, taunted one of them. Love? Said a surprised Naruto as it finally hit him. Hinata took a deep breath. It was now or never. Yes, Naruto. I love you. I have always loved you. Ever since the day when you stood up for me in front of those bullies. Two thugs stepped forward and drew their knives. PFFT. Looks like we'll be doing you a favor. Anyone who thinks they could love a demon deserves to die just like that piece of trash, said one of the thugs. He then thought for a minute. Do you even know why he is the piece of trash he is? Yes. I know why he is the greatest person in this village. He has sacrificed himself all these years to keep you safe, and all you've done is repaid him with neglect and hatred, responded Hinata. Well, then. Since you know, I have no regret killing you now if you still choose to stand with the demon. The two thugs charged for Hinata. One of them was going to run her through while the other made a break for the demon. Naruto was still in shock at what Hinata had just declared. Hinata, shouted Naruto, not wanting to see her die to these losers. Hinata ducked underneath the first thug's blade, landing a strike with her gentle fist to the man's chest and sending a burst of chakra into his heart, damaging it to the point where he clutched his chest as his heart began to spaz into cardiac arrest. That just left the second bandit. Hinata backflipped away from the man and assumed the 8 trigrams stance. Gentle fist, 8 trigrams, 64 bombs. She called out as all 64 strikes hit the man's tenketsu. He crumbled to the ground, unable to move. This was not the failure of a clan heir that most of these villagers knew. This Hinata that they were facing now could easily give the Hokage prodigy, Neji, a run for his money. The mob had but one option left, an all-out assault on the pair. One of the villagers led the charge as the rest followed. This was it. Not even Hinata's protection of the 8 trigrams could fend off nearly 100 angry villagers forever. Boom. The entire village shook and the building crumbled to the ground. When the dust settled, the villagers had stopped in their tracks to see who had now arrived on scene. The first thing they saw was the mangled corpse of the lead villager, his entire back smashed in and lying in about a 5-foot deep crater. The villagers froze in fear as they were now facing something more terrifying than the Kyuubi itself. What the hell do you think you are doing, mindlessly attacking Shinobi of this village? Shouted Tsunade. She was pissed. No, she was more than pissed. The amount of killing intent that she was letting off would have been enough to send the Kyuubi cowering with all 9 tails tucked between his legs, and she was probably holding some back to prevent most of the villagers from dropping over dead before she could get some sort of twisted explanation out of them. What's worse is you're actually trying to kill them. Hokage SS Sama, some of the mob stuttered out, realizing they were now in deep shit. And nothing, we were just cut the crap, you worthless piece of trash. I know what you were trying to do, she shouted. One of the villagers was stupid enough to use this opportunity to sneak up behind them, hoping to stab Naruto in the back. He felt something slimy wrap itself around his neck as he tried to let out a scream. On the rooftops above the scene, a little over 24 Anbu had arrived on scene, including Kakashi. Tsunade Bakken, shouted Naruto, extremely happy to see her. Tsunade turned towards Naruto and Hinata, who had taken a few steps back and was helping Naruto out of the trash. Oh, and happy birthday, brat, said Tsunade with a cheerful voice and facial expression. As quickly as it changed before, her mood did a complete 180 again. The villagers took a slight step forward. Seeing Tsunade's slight distraction, however, they were stopped when she turned back to them, slamming her fist into the wall next to them and burying most of the mob in rubble. Now, are you going to admit to breaking the Sundaime's laws about harming Naruto, or do I need to let Ibiki and Anko have their way with you? We did nothing wrong, Hokage-sama defended one of the villagers. Oh really? Said Jiraiya, stepping out from the shadows with that one villager caught by one of his totes. Now surely you were up to something. After all, you don't want to end up like this guy. Jiraiya turned to the man his toad had captured. He placed 2 fingers on the middle of the man's forehead and made a quick hand seal. Ninpa, toad transformation. With a puff of smoke, he transformed the man into a little green toad, causing some of the villagers to scream out in horror. "We're sorry, Hokage-sama. WEP promised WWE'll behave," begged a few of the villagers. Some of the more hardened villagers kept their resolve, determined to let the Hokage know their disliking of her handling of Naruto. "Can it? Anbu, take these traitors away," ordered Tsunade. "And summon Ibiki and Anko to get whatever info out of them regarding." Jiraiya walked up behind Naruto and Hinata and placed his hands on their shoulders. "Pervy sage," shouted Naruto. Never had he been so happy to see his perverted teacher. Kakashi jumped down in front of them. "Naruto, are you alright?" he asked. "I am now. Thanks to everyone. Especially you," Hinata said Naruto, causing the Hokage to blush. He wanted to ask her something regarding what she had just said moments ago, but this wasn't the place for said questions. "You should also thank Konohamaru," said Jiraiya, pointing to the roof behind him. "He was the one that came and got us." Naruto looked up to see a smiling Konohamaru. At the tower, Naruto was inside Tsunade's office with Hinata. Tsunade figured it was best he stay in the tower for a few days, at least until it settled down. "Hey Hinata, about back there, what you said, did you mean it?" asked Naruto, referring to Hinata's little confession to the villagers. Hinata shot straight up and turned red. That boost of confidence that she had back there had left her after Tsunade had intervened. "Come on Hinata, just say it. Tell him you meant it. This could be your chance to finally get him. Use the package, it will help," she thought to herself, trying to gather up every ounce of courage she had to confront Naruto. She took a deep breath and jumped off of the couch to grab the package she had been carrying. Surprisingly, it was unscathed. She walked over to Naruto and pulled out a box that Naruto recognized. It was a wrapped box, just like the ones he had received for the past 4 years from his mysterious admirer. It was neatly wrapped and had the same white paper with lavender swirls that the presents from before had. Hinata was his admirer. "Yes, I meant every word and more. I do love you." Naruto stood in awe at what had just occurred. No one had ever told him that before. I mean, sure, he could tell what love was and that there were people in the village who loved him, like Kiruka-sensei and Nyakirakus, but no one had ever said it directly to him before. Over the past months, he had been developing some sort of feelings for Hinata, but he had never been so sure what they were, until now. Is this a dream? Did one of the mob actually get to me and I'm dying? Someone pinch me, wait, don't, ouch. What was that for, you damn fox? Ha, you asked for it, kid, but no, you are not dreaming. Now leave me alone and go to your little vixen, said Kurama. And Naruto? Said Hinata. Not seeing any reaction from Naruto, she began to worry. Oh no. He's not responding. Does this mean he doesn't like me? What do I eat? Before Hinata could say anything, Naruto was embracing her and crying as she blushed a light, but warm shade of red. Hinata, thank you, he said. You have no idea what that means. Thank you for everything. Hinata didn't want it to end, but Naruto let go. However, it didn't stop there. Naruto took one look at Hinata and their eyes connected. Wow, I never realized until now, but her eyes are actually really beautiful. Hinata's heart just about stopped as she was realizing what was happening. She had been fantasizing about this moment for years. Oh my god. Stay conscious. Don't faint. This is it was going through her head. She was trying her very hardest to keep herself conscious. Naruto and Hinata began to inch closer to one another, eyes slowly closing as they prepared for their lips to embrace one another. And then it happened. Hinata's dream had just come true as she felt Naruto's lips press against hers. They were a little rough, but warm and soothing at the same time. Naruto felt them, Hinata's lips press against hers. Warm, moist, and soft. Back in the academy, he had dreamed of getting a kiss like this from Sakura, but he could never imagine it feeling this good. And it was from Hinata. Perhaps if he hadn't been so oblivious back then. Suddenly, the door to the office opened as they were mid-kiss. Damn, I swear, even when I'm not the target of her frustration, she still finds a reason to punch him, said Jiraiya walking into the office. He stopped mid-sentence after seeing Naruto and Hinata scramble to get apart from one another. Hinata went completely red as the room temperature rose a few degrees from the heat she was emitting due to this embarrassment. Her world went dark. Oh, and what do we have here? Asked Jiraiya, getting a perverted look on his face. Gah! Stop it, you old pervert, shouted Naruto, knowing that expression all too well. Jiraiya laughed at the blonde's reaction. At least he wasn't denying anything. His tone got less perverted. Well, it's about time, he said. Naruto looked down, knowing exactly what Jiraiya was referring to. Jiraiya could obviously sense some regret in the eyes of his blonde student. Huh? Naruto, what's wrong? He asked. Nothing. It's just all these years, I never noticed, Why do I feel like I should have known? I feel like such a complete loser for not noticing her before, said Naruto as he began to piece the last pieces of the puzzle together that was the feelings he had for Hinata. Jiraiya gave Naruto a warm smile. Don't worry about it anymore. What matters is that I think the two of you will be very happy together. Just don't ruin it, said Jiraiya, as he slipped into pervert mode a little. Now, if the two of you ever want to help provide me with material for my books. Bam. Jiraiya was sent sailing out of the office, leaving a gaping hole in the wall behind the Hokage's desk. Tsunade had walked into the room just as Naruto and Jiraiya were having their nice father-son-like chat, at least until it turned perverted. Pervert, shouted Tsunade. That might be a new record, Tsunade silently congratulated herself. She turned to Naruto, who was just staring in awe at the hole in the wall that his teacher had just been sent through. Now you're not going to do anything that old pervert would do, now will you? No, not me. I'm not a pervert. Tsunade-ba, Hokage-sama, said Naruto, squeaking out the more formal of the names for Tsunade. Remember to punch Jiraiya around to scare Naruto into not referring to me as Bakken, she noted to herself. Tsunade picked up the unconscious Hinata and placed her on the couch. Tsunade took a moment to get the events of the past hour or so with the interrogation out of her head and went to her desk, pulling out a wrapped present for Naruto. Happy birthday, Naruto, she said, handing Naruto the wrapped package. He opened up the package and a chorus of angels began to sound in his head. It was a book, but not just any book. This was the Ramen Passport to the Shinobi Nations, a very rare book but one that Naruto had dreamt of getting his hands on. Every ramen shop in here had a very special ramen that was only given to people with this passport, and it was the objective of whoever held one of these books to eat the special dish at every ramen shop listed. Besides becoming Hokage, this was Naruto's dream. Where did you? I picked it up traveling and figured I would find a use for it eventually, explained Tsunade. No, don't wake up. It was such a good dream, the two of us kissing, thought Hinata as she began to wake. When she opened her eyes, she realized that she was in the Hokage's office with Naruto holding a book that Tsunade had obviously given him as a present. It couldn't be. She was in the same room where her dream had taken place, and besides the fact that she was now on the couch, it was too real. Was it real? Did she really kiss him? After hearing a slight sound, Naruto turned to see Hinata, who was slowly sitting up. He turned to her and gave her a warm smile, taking a seat next to her. Naruto gave her a quick peck on the cheek, telling her enough. It was real. It had actually happened. Her blush was no longer the nervous red that it had used to be had Naruto been so close to her before. It was now more of a faint rose-colored, but warm blush. Figuring that she might actually be able to touch him in a rather romantic sense, Hinata rested her head gently on Naruto's shoulder, causing the blonde to let out a slight blush as well and smile. They had completely forgotten that Tsunade was there until a bright flash of light snapped them out of it. Jiraiya pulled himself through the hole in the wall that he had left, with the camera in hand. The two sat up straight as Jiraiya had interrupted their moment twice now. This had better not become a habit, pervy sage, said Naruto as Jiraiya let out a slight laugh. He assured them that it wouldn't, although he might try to have a little fun now and then. This received a look from Naruto, but it was Tsunade who scared him. Don't worry about this, old pervert assured Tsunade. Hinata felt as if she was forgetting. Shifting her glance to the side, she found her gift sitting on the table next to her. She reached over and handed it to Naruto, who looked on in excitement as he had one last present for the night, the most special one in his opinion. He opened the wrapping to reveal another box on the inside. Please be alright, thought Hinata, hoping that the cake wasn't damaged after everything that had occurred. Naruto opened the box as a warm and sweet aroma filled the room. There it was, still in perfect shape. This is, said Naruto, looking at the cake in awe. It was a simple round cake outlined with streaks of lavender and gold frosting. The decoration of the cake was rather simple in nature, but it suited the cake just perfectly. Hinata had thought to design the initial cake in the shape of Naruto's head, however after Hanabi had her fill, she only had enough ingredients left for a slightly smaller round cake. Despite the setbacks, Hinata was satisfied with her work. For Naruto, he never had a birthday cake before. He had heard the stories of how children judge their birthdays by their presents in the cake. Naruto did what anyone would do and took a small scoop of the frosting with his finger, tasting it. Please like it, Naruto thought Hinata, worrying that he might not like it. Oh my, said Naruto as his eyes opened wide. He took a good look around the room. And Naruto, is something wrong? Asked Hinata. No, just making sure Tsuchi isn't here to hear me say this, but this cake might just be, no, it is better than any ramen I've had, admitted Naruto. This was a huge victory for Hinata. Lying in a bed in the Konoha hospital, Tsuchi was getting his wounds tended to. They were nothing major, although there were a few stab wounds that he needed to get cleaned and stitched. He felt a sudden cringe in his stomach. Daddy, what's wrong? Asked Ayame, sitting at his side. Nothing, I've just got this feeling. I think it's time to start experimenting around with the ramen again, he said. Ayame sighed. The last time he did this, she remembered being covered head to toe in noodles. There were even noodles in places rather not mentioned. Jiraiya took the cake from Naruto, much to the blonde's displeasure. However, he explained that it was customary to share the cake with those close to him. With that, he grabbed Naruto, Hinata, Shizune, Tsunade, and Kakashi from within the tower, and they proceeded to the hospital to go find Iruka, Konohamaru, Tsuchi, and Ayame. To Naruto, these people had done something special for him on this day, and it was these people he wanted to share the cake with. For the first time ever, Naruto had the happy birthday song sang to him. The cake was passed around and Naruto got the first piece as was tradition. He took his first bite of the cake. It tasted wonderful. He could die right now and he wouldn't care less. Hey kid, mind letting me have a taste? Said Kurama, laughing a bit. Naruto sighed. It was true that Kurama had also become one of his true friends, despite everything that had happened to Naruto because of him. Naruto did his best to allow the fox a glimpse at the second piece of cake that was heading towards his mouth. As Naruto took a bite, Kurama managed to link their senses together, if only for a moment, and he tasted the cake as well. Damn kid, this is something. I'm tempted to say screw that damn contract and take you over just so I can get more of that cake before the seals kill me, said Kurama. Naruto cringed a little. Note to self, never let the Q be near Hinata's cooking. There was one other thing going through Naruto's mind. If Hinata could make a cake this good, he was wondering what she could do to a bowl of ramen. Back in the tower, it was getting late and everyone was sitting around Tsunade's office. She had offered Naruto a room in the mansion that he could stay in for a few days while things settled down. Suddenly, a knock was heard on the door and Hiyashi stepped through. He saw Hinata standing in front of him and rushed over to hug her. He had been informed by the Anbu about the events that had transpired and had been worried sick as he dragged Hanabi along behind him, who was clutching her stomach in pain for some unknown reason. Jiraiya came up next to Naruto and bent down and whispered in his ear. Naruto, while he's here, ask Hiyashi for permission to date his daughter, said the Toad Sage. Huh? Why would I have to do that? Asked Naruto. After everything that happened in the past few hours, Naruto had been looking to finally ask Hinata on a true date, but was a little surprised at what Jiraiya was requesting he do. Because, it's only proper. After all, you can't just go dating her without her father's knowing. Trust me, just ask him and everything will be fine, said Jiraiya. Naruto gulped. There was something about this man that intimidated Naruto, not to mention that there were definitely people in the village who still despised him, and he was afraid that Hiyashi may have been one of them, despite allowing him to train with Hinata before the finals. Hokage-sama, said Naruto, trying to be as polite as possible. Hiyashi turned to Naruto, wondering what it was that the boy wanted. I would like permission to take Hinata out on a date sometime. Hiyashi was a little taken back by this as he looked towards his sensei and down at his daughter. Hinata was also caught a little off guard by this. Naruto wanted to go out on a date with her? Nothing about this night could get any better, except if her father said yes to Naruto's request. Of course, if he said no, well. Hiyashi closed his eyes and appeared to be in deep thought. After everything that happened tonight, he was tempted to say no because he feared for Hinata's safety. Not from Naruto or the beast inside him, but rather from the paranoia of the village. However, he knew that if he said no, this would potentially crush all the progress he had been making towards his daughter's development in her confidence and shinobi training. He had seen firsthand the positive effects that Naruto had on his daughter. Hiyashi took a deep breath. Alright, I will allow it. Huh, really? Shouted Naruto out of excitement. Hinata couldn't believe her father if she hadn't heard him herself. Yes, but realize this, interjected Hiyashi. Hinata is the current heir to the Hokage clan and my precious daughter. If you do anything to her or dishonor her, not even the Hokage will be able to save you from my wrath." Hiyashi got a dark look in his eyes as he glared at Naruto, activating his Byakugan. "Do we have an understanding?" Naruto gulped. "Why yes sir," he stuttered out. Hinata couldn't help herself as she embraced her father. "Yay! Nei-san's got a boyfriend," shouted Hanabi, causing Hinata to turn red at this realization. Naruto was finally her boyfriend. Hanabi then began singing, causing her sister to turn an even darker shade of red. Hinata and Naruto sitting in a tree, kissin, oog. Her stomach really started to bother her at that point as she cringed in pain and tried to keep herself from puking all over the office. "Huh? Hanabi, is everything alright?" asked Naruto. "Oh here, try this cake, it will make you feel much better." Naruto handed Hanabi one of the 2 remaining slices in the box. That was the last straw for her as Hanabi couldn't take it anymore and she darted out of the office to find a toilet. "Huh?" Everyone looked on in confusion and Hiyashi couldn't help but laugh. After all, what do you expect after eating an entire bowl of raw batter followed directly by one of Hiyashi's strict training regimens? "Jiraiya," said Tsunade, turning to her teammate. Everyone had left for the night and it was just the 2 Sannin. How could this happen? How did the old man let this manifest to this point? They simply thought they could form a mob and try to kill him. From what I've been told, this has happened every year. Why was it allowed to happen? Jiraiya couldn't find the answer. "I don't know. From everything I've been told, Sarutobi-sensei cared deeply for Naruto." "I don't even understand how this could happen," said Jiraiya, pulling something out of his bag that Tsunade needed desperately. He placed 2 cups on her desk and poured them full of sake that he had been carrying in a gourd inside his bag. "I'm going to do some investigating through Sensei's records, see if I can find anything," said Tsunade. "There has to be a reason why Naruto was allowed to suffer like this. I'll see what I can find as well, but I think it would be a good idea if Naruto was out of the village as much as possible. At least for the next few weeks," said Jiraiya. "What do you mean by that?" asked Tsunade. "Are you planning another trip or something and want to take him?" "I am, but that won't be happening for some time. What I'm saying is that if the opportunity comes to assign Naruto to a mission that gets him out of the village for some time, give him that mission and make sure there are people on that team that can be trusted," said Jiraiya. Even for Naruto, it's going to take some time to rebuild any ounce of trust that he had for the villagers. It's best if we just keep him with people he knows truly for right now. That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.